Good evening. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Broward Spirit Society live stream. So, hi, my name's Steve, and it's Wednesday night, and we're here to talk about limiting faith. So we have Alessandri, but before he begins, we'll just do our initial prayer. So please, wherever you are, join with us. Let's just take a moment. Let's elevate our vibration. Let's shake the dust off from today. Just let everything settle. Whatever happened before we got here, just we'll let it go. Just for this one short time, 30 minutes or so, or an hour or whatever. We can just relax and we can just focus on the work we're here to do this evening. We can focus on our learning, we can focus on listening, we can focus on improving ourselves, and we can focus on learning to live each day with love. We can learn to open our hearts, to love our neighbors, to love our coworkers, to love our families. And everything we do, we can learn to act with love. So we ask the good spirits to be with us tonight, both near and far, to help guide us, inspire us, and motivate us, especially for our brother Alessandro, that his heart can be open and he can be motivated to share the message with us this evening that he's worked so hard to prepare. We thank you for this opportunity that we can take this next step in our daily journey. Each day, we take one more step forward in our own personal evolution. So we're grateful for this opportunity. And with that, we ask for permission to begin our work this evening. So be it. Okay, so, Alessandri, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. It is with a lot of caring and thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is with a lot of caring that we are here to speak to all of you about a few items, few things that we have been studying for a long time, and we have noticed that as you change your heart through the difficult times of our lives, because we all go through difficult times with no exceptions, there are possibilities that if we use these learnings, we end up having a less difficult life, or at least we understand more easily how to deal with the challenges of our daily lives. It is very important for everyone to understand that today is the first day of the rest of our lives. So we don't need to wait for New Year's Day to make up a new resolution or to decide how we're going to deal with next year, what our goals for the year, etc. I believe that each one of us, we can change our mindset every night, every morning, whenever you decide, as long as you do that with confidence and discipline. Because you may have dreams, but if you don't have a discipline, dreams are like sand castles. When the tide is high and reaches the castle, everything goes downhill. So Dreams are important. You gotta definitely dream big, but discipline and consistency are way more important if you are to reach your goals. And of course, you can have goals, you can have dreams, but faith is that little component that makes all the difference when something doesn't happen the way you expected. And that's what we call frustration. Frustration is not when things go wrong, is when things don't go the way we want. And we, unfortunately, in multiple occasions, we try to control thousands of variables that are out of our reach. We try to control how someone will behave with us, how someone will react to what we say, how someone will come back to you, etc., etc., etc. And we cannot do that. So our goal is to always do our best, using as much as we can from our learnings, trying to be transparent and honest, and then expect to say the best result possible. And if the results are not as good as we expected, then we have an opportunity to sometimes make final adjustments, make corrections to the route. And still, if something doesn't happen, then we need to understand that not everything was meant to be ours or meant to be for us. That's critical to have that mindset, so we learn how to deal with the situations with less suffering. And before we go to the next slide, I believe that it is important for all of us, with no exception, regardless of our beliefs, that it is too much of arrogancy to think that we are here by ourselves. What do I mean by that? You may say, oh yeah, I believe that we are born, then we grow up, we do what we can, and then we die. That's very limiting, this way of thought, because the intelligence of our Supreme God is definitely way bigger than that. If he was to just put us to learn, go through a lot of, say, learnings, mistakes, achievements, and then basically everything goes down, to the dust when we finish this incarnation. And of course, it makes much more sense if we think that all those learnings are cumulative throughout the lives that we have. So that's why the spirits call the planet Earth the planet school, because we are here to learn, and then the tests come, and then if we are prepared, we can pass the tests with maybe better grades or less suffering. And if we don't, then those situations will repeat in our lives multiple times, as many as necessary, until we learn what we were supposed to learn. And then we move on. That's why it is not fair to ourselves when you look backwards in your life and say to you that you should have done differently. Because when you did what you did a day ago, a month ago, years ago, a decade ago, your understanding and your level of maturity was A. 1 month, 1 day, or 1 year later, our levels of maturity are B. So we are comparing different thoughts, different levels, different times, different circumstances, and that's not fair. That's not a fair comparison. So we have an opportunity to be where we are, move on from here, do our best as we move forward, and I have no doubts that if we do our part, the spirits of light will be there always to help us out. If you don't believe that there are other civilizations or even other spirits vibrating in different levels in this planet, we're not even talking about other planets, then we need to be conscious as well that it will be a matter of time for the circumstances and the facts, alongside with the science progress, to show us that one thing that we never believed to be true, now suddenly they are true. And that's how humans react to something that we were not prepared for. When something new comes up, the first thing that we do or the first way we react is, oh, that's not true. And you say that because the news, the new development or the new circumstance or the new variable, whatever it is new to you, that doesn't go really well with your comfort zone, because that clashes with your comfort zone in terms of thoughts, in terms of your beliefs. The second stage is for you to go against that. So before you get surprised, then you go against. The third phase is you start accepting, oh yeah, that could be true. Oh yeah, I'm not sure yet, but yeah, I'm thinking about it. And then the fourth and last stage is you embed it. You accept that as the main truth. So I have a little video here, which was released by the Pentagon, the military, the US military, that shows that we are not here by ourselves.
Dude, this is on, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing. It's rotating. Nickel 6-1 Tango Roger, over. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting as soon as I get... Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at that.
Well, that was a very quick, say 2-minute video that was released by the US Navy a few months ago, around March, April this year, showing US Navy pilots that were doing military exercises catching UFOs in their radar. And by just listening to the way the pilots reacted to the event, anyone looking at this video for the first time is not in a position to say that any of those pilots are crazy people, because they are not. They are highly trained, they are highly educated. Those guys go through trainings that can test and can make their psychological strength better than any of us. They do know how to deal with pressure. They know how to deal with unexpected events, because they are here to defend the country. So if a Navy pilot reacts to an event like that, that means, oh my God, there is something else out there. And as we move forward, we're going to get to a point, and that point is coming very, very soon, where we're going to see the authorities being in a situation where they are forced to release events that before were undisclosed to the majority of the population. Videos like this, probably 10 years ago, if they were released, whoever releases a video like this would have been in deep trouble. But now we can see the release of these videos coming from formal sources, from formal military sources, showing that, hey, there is something else out there, flying faster than our planes, under circumstances that we don't understand what they are. And again, when we call something that is extraterrestrial, that's a lot of ego that is embedded in our comment, because that means that we are putting ourselves in a situation that we are the center of the universe. And the next slide is here to create us a situation to help our humbleness to be greater. Because if you look at the size of the Earth in the solar system, then you start seeing that we are nothing else than just a point. When we move to the next scale, which is called the interstellar solar neighborhood, then you see the solar system now becoming a point. The next stage is the Milky Way galaxy. Now you can see the solar interstellar system becoming a point. And so on to the local galactic group, where the Milky Way now becomes a point. If you go to the what we call the Virgo supercluster, then the local galactic group becomes a point. We're not stopping there. We go to the next level, which is what NASA calls the local superclusters. And now the Virgo supercluster becomes a point. And very recently, we are seeing scientists starting to prove theories, including NASA, etc., that we have multiverse. We are not just part of one single universe. So we gotta ask ourselves if we truly believe that amongst all these planets, all these superclusters of planets, we think that we are the only ones out there. Oh, we would need to be super special to be there by ourselves. And I don't believe that we are that special. So we're part of a much bigger family that our eyes cannot see, because the way they were built are specifically for them to be capable of seeing certain things in a range of vibration, of frequency in hertz, that doesn't allow us to see other things that we are not supposed to see. So when those unidentified flying objects, the UFOs, they allow us to see them, is because they were in a position to condense themselves, to change their vibration range, so then we could capture them through the systems and through the eyes that we here have. So again, we are not here by ourselves. And again, it is not because our eyes can't see that certain things don't exist. Okay? We understand that even the situation that we're going through right now, it is helping us to reset the ranges of our limit of our faith. What we believe, what we don't believe, how positive we are, how negative we are. And we also need to think about the good behavior changes that this COVID-19 situation has presented to all of us. Because if you rewind our lives 6 months, all you're going to see is a lot of people, all of us, rushing always towards the next thing. What I'm going to buy next, when my next car will come, when I'm going to make more money per hour, where's going to be my new job, what's the next person, where the next person that I want to meet will be at. Was always the next thing, when, how much money I need to have there, this year or that year. So we were always chasing the next thing without paying attention to the present. And when we suffer a situation like we are all going through right now, that puts a brake on all of us, that forces a full reset of our mindset. And we better stop thinking when the world will be like it was a few months ago, because that's not going to happen. From now on, we're going to be in a much better position if we think about how we can do our things differently, how we can contribute to our lives, our families, ourselves, our business differently in the new scenario. Because we will not have the old scenario anymore. We got to remember that for the new things to be created, the old things got to be destroyed. And that's the history of the planet Earth. That has been our history, and that will continue to be our history. So we're going to be in a much better position by putting our energy, which is very limited and causes a lot of tiredness if we don't know how to deal with that. We're going to be much better if we decide to put our energy towards a new scenario. How to deal with this situation positively, or say proactively, as we move forward, and forget about discussing how things were before, because there is no way you can drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. Well, every time we put ourselves in a situation where we try to be better, we try to be more transparent, or we try to be more honest with ourselves first, or we try to do things differently than what we were used to, there is no doubt that we will face a lot of counterflows. Why? Because you're changing. So as soon as you start leaving behind you your old yourself, and you are willing to become a new person, having new behaviors, new mindsets, of course we're going to all face difficult times. And those don't persist for too long. Neuroscientists, US neuroscientists, and one of them is Mr. Joe Dispenza, have been proving to us through hundreds, millions of brain scans that for our brain to rebuild a new circuit, it takes a few weeks. What does it mean? As you start forcing yourself to learn something new, change your behavior, do things differently, you are burning out the old brain circuits in order to build new ones. And that's going to create a new you. You're going to become a new person. So if you are to be the person that you dream for yourself, or to have the things that you dream for yourself, or to be in a situation that you envision for yourself, that cannot happen while you maintain the old you, the old personality, the old behavior. We got to become a new person to then attract new habits to all of us. So these counterflows that we will face at the moment we decide to change ourselves for the better, or to start reading through or understanding or studying different topics other than just the ones that surround the material obsession, there is no doubt that you're going to be asking yourself a lot of questions, and you're going to be asking yourself also if you are in the right path. But again, there is no favorable wind to the sailor that doesn't know where he's going. So as long as you put a path for yourself and you pursue that with consistency and discipline, with time, your efforts will pay off. The world that we live in, sometimes it forces us to behave in a way that everybody behaves. So if you don't do something that everybody else is doing, sometimes you may judge yourself like, oh, I'm not going on the right path, or I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. And years later or months later, then you find out that you have been very unhappy. And why? Because you are not being truthful to yourself, and you are not being or doing truly what you like. If you listen to guys like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Danny Penna, they would tell us that they have worked for 40, 50, 60 years and they never had a job. Why? Because when you do what you love, whatever it is, you don't feel like you have to work. Because truly you are entertaining a passion, and that passion somehow will drive benefits, including financial benefits, to yourself. But of course, whatever it is, you got to make sure that you do with consistency, with planning, with purpose, with resilience, etc. So you cannot have a dream and then you are very persistent or very focused for 1 or 2 days, one Monday, one Wednesday, or one Thursday, or 2 weeks, and then the situation becomes difficult. Then you give up and you say, oh, I cannot follow my dream. That's not resilience. That's resilience for 2 weeks, and who can build a dream in 2 weeks? If you show me one name, please do so. Send me the name of that person, because I gotta talk to him or to her, because that's impossible. We see people here doing supernatural things in this world. You see now Elon Musk, with the vision of building a city in Mars, trying to build, spaceships that will carry thousands of pounds of cargo to other planets. But nobody stops to see for how long those guys stay in their office. It is documented that guys like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, will say for them to pursue their dreams, those guys, they have slept in their offices for weeks without going home. So are you truly willing to sacrifice yourself and your life like those guys to pursue a dream? Or the first time you face a difficulty, you drop the ball and you say, oh, I cannot pursue my dream. So sometimes your dream does not happen because it is not to happen. It does not happen because you are lacking consistency and discipline to pursue what you want. And multiple times, very convenient to all of us, we blame that we don't have spiritual support. Or, oh, my guard angel is never with me, or God is not listening to my prayers. We need to stop putting ourselves in a situation of a victim, and we need to embrace responsibility. If you're not reaching something, I can guarantee you that there are way more variables associated to our behavior than to the circumstance that any spirit could cause to us. And one step at a time, if we start doing things calmly, with a lot of planning, with consistency, discipline, and faith, when you combine all those components in a very balanced manner, there is no doubt that you're going to start feeling that you are making progress. Again, multiple times that you do not realize a dream that you had has nothing to do with how competent or incompetent you are. Not necessarily. But if you had, of course, inability to do something, you were not qualified to pursue that. You decide to open a business that you didn't understand anything about it, but you still believe that you should have been successful, that's the definition of insanity. Because you are expecting something that it was not supposed to happen. But if you plan for, you do everything accordingly, you don't try to do a step bigger than what you could achieve, and you do little by little that progress with consistency, without hurting or stealing from anyone, you're going to realize that with time you're going to start building up, or say, that dream, and then you're going to create little portions of that dream towards your end goal, but that will help you in building up your confidence level as well. So one of the thought process here is that don't reach for a goal that is too far out. Or say, break your dreams in different slices and do your best to reach the next step. When you reach the next step, you reconvene, you think about the next variables, the next scenario, the next challenges, and then you prepare yourself accordingly to the next phase. Sometimes you look at the last step of the ladder and you say, oh my God, that's too far out for me to reach that point. That's not the way to do it. Break your dream in 50, 150, 200, 5 years, 10 years of different stages, different steps, and pursue each one of them with the best of your ability, reaching out to people that you can trust. Some of the executives say that show me your friends and I'll show you your future. What does it mean? Are you surrounded by people that are honest to you, that will tell you that you are wrong when you are wrong, or you are surrounded by people that will continue to give you a lot of likes when you don't deserve a like? So if you are one of those that go to bed very disturbed because you didn't receive 500 likes from people that you don't have a clue who they are, then take advantage of this moment and rethink about where you're concentrating your efforts on, because that's a waste of energy. And again, pay attention to where you're putting your energy, and then you're going to realize why some of the results that you are having are sometimes against the dreams that you were entertaining. We need to understand that our faith are limited as well by factors that we were taught when we were kids. For example, it is not recommended for those who have kids that when your children ask you for something that you cannot afford, you to reply back to the kids saying, we cannot have that. We cannot afford that. Because you are building up in your kid's brain a circuit that is starting to limit that kid towards something that he or she wanted. maybe a better answer is, we cannot afford that right now, but let's go home and let's plan on how or what we can do to one day be able to buy or to get that. That's a completely different answer. But you are setting the expectation in a completely different way, towards a human being, a spirit that has an entire life ahead of him at those early stages. So it is very common for us to believe sometimes that we don't deserve the best. Why you do not deserve the best? You do deserve the best, but very carefully, you gotta choose what you consider to be the best for you. Because if you set the goal too far out, the sacrifice that you need to put yourself into will be as great as the dream. And you got to understand that sacrifices will deviate you from having other topics of your life in balance. Because everything in excess means lack of balance. It is very common for us to say that, for us to achieve that will come with a greater level of sacrifice and pain. Again, if you are going after something that you have a purpose for, as soon as you hit a wall, you're going to have way more power, way more confidence, way more faith to overcome the obstacle than if you were just doing something for the sake of getting more money. Because some of those barriers that we will reach are very tough barriers. And only if you have a purpose, you're going to be able to overcome the barrier. The other limiting faith factor is that we think that we should do what everybody else is doing, or we should act the way everybody else is acting. Of course, we all have laws here that we all must respect. Those are not optional. But if you like to have a different lifestyle, or if you want to make a change in your life, it is not because anybody in your family are not pro that you should not do. I'm talking about healthy things that are positive, that are respectful to others, of course. But the fact that you are forced to adopt a behavior that most of the people have been adopting, that's very limiting as well. That we need to take care of everything. We all try to be the Superman or the Wonder Woman. And if we pay attention, we can control nothing. That's the reality. We can barely control sometimes how our closest family members will react to something that we say. Or we can not even control what is the best time to approach your boss to ask for a promotion. Imagine if we start thinking about you trying to control everything. That's, again, too much ego in front of our eyes, and that only creates suffering. So we don't need to take care of everything. Take care of those things that are important, and if you cannot take care of everything, then certain things you gotta let it go. Sometimes you gotta act like the river. If you pay attention to the water of a river, when it hits a stone that is sitting idle at the river never tries to remove the stone. It goes around. So sometimes in our lives we got to do the same. We face an obstacle that sometimes we feel that it's too big for us. Instead of fighting it, just go around. Smooth it out, or say back off, or say deal with the circumstance differently. And you're going to be able to see that certain problems, they only get resolved with time. Again, the other limiting faith is to believe that we gotta love the others more than you gotta love yourself. If you don't love yourself, how can you give to others what you don't have? Right? So I think that you can only help others when you are in a situation, to give somebody a help, whatever the help could be. So if you're not calm, how can you pass some words of calmness to somebody who is agitated? Right? So we need to have our control, our self-love first, and then we take care of the others. Otherwise, there's a mix of feelings here in between what is love and what is sacrifice. Let's don't get misled here by thinking that we can change the other person. Nobody changes nobody. You can only change yourself. We believe that a love is to accept whatever happens without imposing limits. And the problem that creates is that you don't put a limit for respect, and the other person will be always crossing the line. So it is important that we all love each other, but where my responsibility stops, your responsibility starts. We believe that love is synonym of a submissive behavior. You gotta accept whatever somebody else tells you or whatever somebody else wants from you, and that's not true. Let's not get confused here that you are being submissive versus you are abandoning yourself. We believe that we should be, Superman or Wonder Woman and do everything for the other person, without asking ourselves if what we are doing is truly the best for the other person, or that's the best to inflate our ego. And of course, we cannot confuse ourselves with the difference of being lonely and be by ourselves. There's a lot of people who are married or have a girlfriend and they feel very lonely. And there are a lot of people that have been by themselves and they feel like they don't need anybody. So we need to understand that when you are in synchronization with yourself, you have coherence in between your heart and your mind, you are happy regardless of the situation. Sometimes we have this limiting faith as well that we have lost something. Well, we can only lose what we think that we have. But in this life, the only thing that we truly have is our spirit, because everything else will be left behind when we leave this world and we go to the real world. And you never see a U-Haul behind a funeral car. There is no way you can take all the material things with you when we all pass to the other side of the world. And it's not how much you have. The real question is what do you do with what you have? I think that's the real question here. We all have a lot of talents, and the question is what you are doing with your talents for yourself and for others. And again, we cannot achieve anything overnight. So depend on what you set yourself for. Each goal comes with a few items that includes, responsibility, dedication, persistency, consistency, sacrifice. So you got to put all those things into the picture, and then understand and decide for yourself how much time, energy, and effort you want to put into each one of them. And then you decide if that goal is too far out, then you bring the goal closer to you. There is no doubt that an honest smile is the most effective medicine for all of us. Sometimes when you are happy, and we cannot forget that smiling to the other person is something that you can do regardless of how you feel. It's a decision, it's an attitude. You can leave your house even when you are having a lot of problems or challenges, and it doesn't mean that you need to be rude with the person outside the gates. You can be a nice person, and then internally you keep doing your best and praying for assistance so you learn how you deal with that circumstance. But let's not bring our inner problems to the other person that sometimes, without us knowing, could be in a situation much worse than ours. And a smile makes a huge difference. If you decide to do something, remember that a journey of 10,000 miles starts with the first step. but try to do each step very confidently, very calmly, with a lot of confidence, and so you don't need to go backwards and see which steps to say you did to say in a way that you could have done better. Happy people are less vulnerable to a lot of circumstances. One of them is frustration. And I think that is very important for us, using these times that we are going through right now, that has created a new environment for all of us, and that again, I told you, all of you again, this will not change. Let's not put ourselves towards, oh, when the world will be back to what it was. It's not going to go backwards. It's a different time, different world. The circumstances are different. So you got to look at yourself in a mirror and truly ask yourself, what do I need to change? And you got to have a lot of courage to say that. Because sometimes you may not like the way you behave, or you may not like the way you react. But once you do that with honesty, we're going to start removing the ego out of in front of our eyes, and that help us to become a different person, a different spirit, and contribute different to the environment. Again, the quality of your life depends on you, not on anybody else. Don't have that limiting faith that out there is better than here. Because when you move from one place to another, you're not gonna leave your spirit, your problems, your circumstances behind you. You're gonna carry them with you. So if you think that by going somewhere else or moving from one country to another, from one person to another, that's gonna truly resolve all the problems of your life, that's just a matter of time for you to believe that you still gotta resolve those things that were unresolved properly in the past. Again, for you to become a new person or to reach a new desired environment, you got to start changing right now. So you start acting right now how you want to be in future days. And then the quantum physics explains that you're going to attract that to you. Our lives, like I said, today is the first day of the rest of our lives. It's like a whiteboard. You can draw whatever you want. And again, you have a decision here to be made. You can think about everything that we have discussed tonight, all these thought processes that could be enlightening to all of us, or you have the right to forget about everything here. It's up to each one of us. And I hope that you guys have had, a good time here with us. Again, God be with yourselves, with your families, and God bless all of us. Thank you so much for your time. We're gonna now do our pray for closing out our activities tonight, and I ask you that you please put yourself in a situation where you can be very relaxing. Take a deep breath and start to imagine the face of Jesus Christ, and using your hands, imagine yourself giving to Him all those tough problems that you find yourself not capable to resolve. And you ask the spirits of the light that they give us all the intuition that we need to take the best path towards resolving all those challenges that we are facing right now. We may ask to say our spirits that protects all of us, to protect our family members, our friends, and also those people that we feel that they don't like us too much, because through them we develop a lot of resilience and patience. Let's pray for our brothers and sisters, known or unknown people, that are right now facing jail time, those who are in hospitals with a lot of pain, all those kids in the world without parents. Let's pray for peace in those countries that are disturbed by continuing situations of war, of local conflicts. And let's pray for our planet. I wish you all the best. You guys have a wonderful and blessed week, and God be with all of us. We're going to go through the usual reminders. We continue to have our public speeches here on Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, Cynthia continues to do the guided meditation on Tuesday at 7 p.m. with Jose and Evelyn. We have group studies on Tuesdays, 8 p.m., except the second Tuesday of each month. Don't forget to contribute with our team here on Saturdays. Now this Saturday, August 1st, these are the food that will be prepared with a lot of caring by the people who dedicate a lot of time. And of course, we cannot forget that food is the main contributor towards us sustaining this place that one day has received us, and we hope that the doors continue to be open to receive millions of other people in the future. So we continue to count with everybody's contributions towards helping us go through these difficult times, paying the bills of this house and all the other utilities, etc. And of course, like I said before, food is just one of the ways that you can help us. I hope this was a great time for all of us tonight. Be safe out there and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for your time.